the friend told him, if you really want to do suicide, then do it after failing the exam. Then you have a drop of a reason. He did it before. Can you imagine committing suicide before the challenge has already approached you? So when I heard this in Germany, I thought, wow, I haven't heard those stories in Germany.
Krishna,
yes, Lord Brahmaji.
Today, to survive in the world, to survive competition, to survive stress, you need to understand yourself. Basically, we all are souls. Each one of us, unless we have some kind of understanding of spirituality, will not make it successful. Okay. If you can see ourselves from a distance, I think we can do better in life. We have a few great teachers here. They are essentially devotees from ISKCON system, which is becoming very popular. And let me tell you, many of my successful engineers from my friends, very successful engineers, executives, ITNs, and some of my friends from very early age, they are members of ISKCON, and I think they have a lot of things to say to you. देखिए सुनिए, चीज़ों को समझिए, इंटरनलाइज कीजिए. सुनने से क्या होता है, हम थोड़ा सुनते हैं, समझते हैं, धीरे धीरे वो हमारे अंदर चली जाती है और हम आगे बढ़ जाते हैं. तो सबसे पहले हम अपने गेस्ट को वेलकम करते हैं. सो वेलकम मिस्टर शिवात्मा प्रभु एंड डॉक्टर. So he has been an ex-army man, and he has been doing a lot of work for trade unions and labor class in his country, along with the work he is doing with this. Then I'll request Dr. Saraswat to present a bud to Mr. Paramshreya Dasa. And our third esteemed colleague is Mr. Shiva Dasa here. You already know him. Let me tell you, our two main guests here are from Germany. Okay. They are carrying the message that India took to the world back from Germany to you. हिंदुस्तान जो मैसेज को लेकर, जो मैसेज भारत से दुनिया में गई है भगवद गीता की, उस मैसेज को वापस आपके पास लेकर आ रहे हैं, क्योंकि हम उससे काफी दूर हो चुके हैं.
Om Ajnana-timirandasya Ajnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthavitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadama Hyam Dadati Svapadantikam Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. So the topic for today is how to deal with stress, also as a student. I guess you have heard some time about stress? Just checking. So everywhere in the world, in America, in Germany, I know from first experience, and also in India, we have increasingly to deal with stress. Also in our education period, this is more and more increasing. So what the Bhagavad-gita has to offer so that we can deal with that stress nobody can escape from. this is what we want to investigate a little bit today. I have heard from one friend, he is a brahmachari monk from Mumbai. He has told me that he was in a secondary school class with him and they were forwarding to the exam. And that his friend became increasingly nervous and frantic. And my friend, he asked him, what is the problem? Why are you so nervous? You always had good grades in school. There is nothing to fear for you. You will execute a nice graduation. But he had so much pressure, or he felt so much pressure, especially towards his family. They expected so much from him. Or sometimes we think others expect so much from ourselves. Depends. Sometimes it is also in our heart. Other people don't expect so much, but we think it. It's often in our mind. So he became so frantic that at one point he revealed to his friend, to my friend, I consider doing suicide. And my friend was shocked. This is not real. You are one of the last persons in our class. You should not worry about your exam. But he became more and more frantic. And the sad story is, even before the friend told him, if you really want to do suicide, then do it after failing the exam. Then you have a drop of a reason. He did it before. Can you imagine committing suicide before the challenge has already approached you? So when I heard this in Germany, I thought, wow, I haven't heard those stories in Germany. There's also lots of stress in Germany, but that was really topping it all. So I don't know how the situation is here in Agra, if some of you have ever thought of doing this horrible and sad thing. I hope not. If so, please approach us after this class. There are ways to come out, and this is also the main topic we want to discuss. But if you need some personal dialogue, you may certainly approach us. So, you all know the Bhagavad-gita, and the great hero of Bhagavad-gita, Arjuna, he was in a similar stressful situation, maybe more stressful than we all here ever imagined to be. He was on a battlefield, and he was not, just aiming his arrows to some, foreign country, people he never have seen before. Like, suppose there will be a war against one country. We will never hope that this will happen here in India. If some people in the army, they aiming their weapons to people from Pakistan, they don't know them. So it's not so difficult to let that arrow or that rocket go. But Arjuna, he knew all those great personalities. They were part of the greater family, isn't it? Amongst them was his grandfather Bhishma, and his guru, his military guru, Acharya. They had very deep, affectionate relationships. So suppose, I guess all of you have nice grandfather or nice grandmothers. Imagine you have to aim your arrow against them. This is pretty precarious. So that was his situation, and at one point he became so frantic, practically speaking, that he dropped his bow, the famous Gandiva bow. And he said to Krishna, this is the 7th shlok of the 2nd chapter, he said, Karpanya dosho pahata svabhava prichami tvang bhavasamutha chetasa yat shreyasyan nishchitam bruhi tanme shishyastehang shadi mangtvang prapanam. He said, let me read this for you in English. Please listen carefully. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me clearly what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So Arjuna, he folded his hands and he said, I am totally confused. Please tell me what I should do, how I should deal with this stressful situation. So the first teaching Krishna gave to him, who of you knows what the very first teaching is of Lord Krishna in Bhagavad-gita? Please raise your hand if you know. Be brave. We have a telephone joker. So the very first teaching is that we are not our bodies. We are eternal spiritual soul. Krishna says in Bhagavad-gita, Dehinusmin yata dehe kaurmaram yauvanam jara tata dehantara praptir diras tatra namuyati. He explained something that now, let's say 50 years ago, modern science has also found out, discovered. Krishna says, as the soul travels from childhood, kaumaram, yauvanam, jara, to youth, and then to old age. Jara means old age. In the same way, the soul travels from one body at the time of death, from one body to the next. So I can see in some of your faces, this modern science has found out that the soul is traveling from one body to another at the time of death. Indirectly, yes, I can explain. Our body consists of millions of small cells. So millions, you can see them under microscope. And modern science has found out that every cell at one point of time dies and becomes replaced by a new fresh one. So of course this will not happen altogether. All the cells at one point of time will die and become replaced. No. One cell may die now here at my finger and become replaced by a new fresh one, and some seconds later one cell in my knee will die, become replaced, and some minutes later or seconds at another part of our body. So this will happen gradually. You can follow? Yeah. So after 7 to 11 years, let's say after 10 years, all our cells from bottom to top, they are replaced So after, let's say, 10 years, what do we have? Do we have the same body, let's say, 10 years ago?
No.
We have a complete new body, materially or physically speaking. But I can ask you, what is the average what is the average age of you?
20.
Let's take 20. Yes? So all of you who are 20, how many times you have changed your physical body, your material body? 2 times. And one person, like I am over 40, I have changed my body 4 times. Someone of us maybe 60 or 70 or 90. So 9 times that person has changed his or her body. But you can go to a 90-year-old grandmother or grandfather and ask him or her, "Grandmother, do you remember when Gandhiji took India into independence?" And she will say, "Yes." But how is this possible? 10 years ago you were a different person. And 20 years again. So you get my point. Something is there that remains, although we always change our material body. And this is what Lord Krishna calls the soul or the Atma. Dehenusmin yata dehe kaumaram yovanam jara tata dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuyati. So when Arjuna heard these teachings, he became freed from bodily conditioning. He understood, okay, this is my grandfather, I love him. This is my guru, I love him. However, this is not the end of the story. We are just all souls moving from one body to the next. And after, we all have to die anyway. So death in the material world is not avoidable. No one of us can escape death. So in this way, Lord Krishna teaches Arjuna, you don't have to worry about the soul. The soul will is eternal. And it is also useless to lament over the physical body, because at one point there was no body, then it came, all the chemicals came together, and then all the chemicals dissolve again. This is the material level. You see it everywhere. There was a time no Agra University was here. It was just a plain green field. And then all the chemicals came and it was a nice Agra University. And maybe in 200 years, I don't hope so, but it might be so, it again becomes a green field. So that is the situation of this material world. But the spiritual soul always remains. So we all have our relationship here. But we also have an eternal relationship to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. In Bhagavad-gita it is said that we are all tiny souls. But Krishna, the source of all, he is the unlimited big soul. And we have an eternal relationship to him. So the more, we should all have, of course, our nice relationships. It is no question that we stop our good relationships to our family members or to our friends. However, if we have not developed our eternal relationship, that is for sure there, also in our next life, in the life after the next life, to the Supreme Person, Lord Krishna, if we fail to develop that spiritual, eternal relationship, then the distress or the stress is non-avoidable. We will not have sufficient inner peace. So there is no harm to give our best in the university. Like Arjuna, he was instructed by Krishna, you should give your best in this battle of Kurukshetra. But the consciousness, how we do our hard work of studying, or how we are fighting on a battlefield, that is the crucial teaching of Lord Krishna. If we do it in a material consciousness, only to please our parents, for instance, or only to think about, if I have a good, nice job later, I will buy me an SUV, and I will buy me this house, and I will have all the luxury. This is a material consciousness, yes? And then the stress is programmed, I guarantee you. You will never be a peaceful person. However, when you think, let me do this hard work for my eternal friend, Lord Krishna, then it all becomes very joyful. And even if there are some backlashes, like Arjuna, it was not always easy for him to fight. He even lost his son. So there may be some backlashes in our lives, that is non-avoidable, but still we keep this spiritual consciousness, this spiritual direction, and then all our lives will always be on a nice, spiritual, peaceful level, even if we do so many things and if there is maybe lots of stress around us. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
So, practice makes a man perfect. Are you agree? Yes, sir. So speak with me. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Now very good. Raise your hands. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Hare. Hare Ram. Hare Ram. Hare Ram. Hare Ram. Ram Ram. Ram Ram. Hare Hare. Now I will show you some surprising videos which I have gathered from my YouTube and all that.
आज हम लोग को गर्व इस बात का होना चाहिए कि हमारा हिंदू संस्कृति की भगवद गीता कृष्ण जी की भारत में ही नहीं सीमित है, बल्कि उन देशों में है जहां पर सभी भाषाएं प्रयोग की जाती है, जैसे अरबी, अरब भाषा. इट इज द अरबी लैंग्वेज, दिस अरबी भगवद गीता. तो वी हैव टू आल्सो क्लैप फॉर अरबी. वी आर वेरी हैप्पी दैट some people say that in Muslim countries there is no. There is God is one. God is not Muslim. God is not Hindu. God is not Christian. God is not so small that you can categorize inside the temple, inside the mosque, inside the Christian, inside the Bible. No, God is omnipresent, omnipotent everywhere. Inside a microorganism. Just like scientifically, so it is our luck. Paramshreya Dasa, Philip Trier Rebel.
This is world's largest Bhagavad-gita. Modi has inaugurated.
See this. It is our Holiness Maharaj. Gopal Krishna Maharaj is our GBC of ISKCON. The GBC means Governing Body Council. He is standing behind Modi, and we have to just notice the world's largest Bhagavad-gita opened before 1 month in New Delhi campus.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Sing with me, all of you.
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,